Welcome to another SimCity video. I'm currently working on Planet Base, but yesterday I spent some time just going back to SimCity, and I started playing on this particular area here. This place is called Clear. It's been on the computer for a while, so I can't really remember what my objectives were when I started building this place, because I think this town has been going, well, I can't see, but it's been going for quite a few years, and I don't even remember when I started this. It wasn't part of the episodes that I downloaded over the last few months. This was just another region on its own that I was working on and off. But what I wanted to draw your attention to is the streets and the fact that there isn't a great deal of traffic. And for me, that's something that pleases me in this game, to have a population of 170,000 but not have a huge amount of traffic. Because normally, if you have, anybody that plays the game will know, if you have a population like this, most of the roads, especially the smaller roads, will be just chock-a-block with traffic. There will be just traffic jam after traffic jam, nothing moving. And I just wanted to upload this video because it's quite rare that I've managed to get a town with a population like this with so little traffic, and I wanted to explain how. Also, I've got a huge surplus of cash here, and I wanted to talk about that as well. So, first thing to say, you probably noticed that this is a very heavily polluted town. Awful. You've got muck, ground pollution everywhere. And although I can't remember exactly when I started this place, but at the beginning I know I had a large Omega process going on here, because one of the ways to get rid of the traffic is to try and build some drone factories, and then try and get every citizen, every residence to start buying drones. And in this game, when everybody buys drones, the residents, for some reason, they don't leave their buildings and houses and residences anymore. They send the drones out to do all the shopping for them. I assume they all work from home. So the idea is, if you can get to the point where I am here, I've got 98% of all residences are kind of affiliate, they're franchises of the Omega company, and they've all been kind of droned. No such word as droned, but you know what I mean. Now, in order to do that, the first thing you need to do is build in a Omega factory, because you need to get the head office, which is over here, and then you need to upgrade the head office in order to be able to put the actual factories that build the drones. These are these factories here. So at one point they were making Omega. Now I've just got them producing drones and nothing else. I've taken away all the Omega parts, and what they need to run is processors, which sounds difficult, but when you get them fully stocked, this bar takes a long time to run down, so it's not as bad as it seems. So what I'm doing is I'm making processors, and I am over here, I'm making TVs. No, I'm making TVs and selling TVs. Now, the reason for that is because I've managed to build the where is it? That thing over there. That's the oops, that's the arcology. I decided to build that excuse me, yesterday, because again, if you've got no traffic, and at the moment here it's fantastic. I mean, mainly all there is on the roads is the services and the drones going around, and so if it is a great situation to be in if you want to build a great work, because when it comes to collecting the resources, there is no traffic jams coming in and going out. So I was actually able to build the arcology pretty quickly. I made all my own televisions and shipped them over, but there was never any traffic here, so everything went very quickly. To get the resources to the factory that makes the TV was again very smooth. Everything was delivered very quickly, nothing waiting in queues. And then I just imported all the metal I needed, and that part of this process normally is the part that takes forever, because you have to send over I think it's 2,000 or more tons, it doesn't say it anymore, 2,000 or more tons to this thing, and if you have any traffic problems it just takes forever to get all the metal. But because I have no traffic, the metal went and I was able to do all that pretty quickly. My arcology density is 4. I don't really pay much attention to that thing. I'm not sure what it does. I was curious to see if it would mean that I would get lots of people coming from the arcology to my town, driving from here to here, and if that was going to start to give me traffic problems. But at the moment there doesn't seem to be anybody coming here. They seem to be staying in the building. They don't seem to be moving to this town. In terms of the money, well, if you start, you know, you need to produce processors to feed the drone factories. But once the drone factories, like I said, once they have some processors, they take a long time to get through them. So then you can sell all the processors that are made here, and that adds up to your finances very quickly. And then of course the Omega factories themselves, they're making a fortune. I mean, just with them, you can see this figure here it's plus 16, and I'm making something like 60,000 each hour just with the drone factory. So because this figure is pretty high, and then you add that to the fact that now that I'm selling TVs, I'm not sending them anywhere, so they're all being sold. So these are quite big figures, and because there's no traffic, everything is being shipped out very quickly. So in 1 month, in May for instance, I've made I think is this the figure here, 2.5 million nearly for 1 month. You can see just for not May, March. It's kind of like there's just an endless amount of processors and TVs that I've sold in March. So I'd be doing well here even if I wasn't making a profit from hour to hour. But because I'm making a profit from hour to hour, I'm also selling all these things. I've got no traffic, so all the supply chains are working extremely efficiently. And when I was waiting for the metal to be delivered to the arcology, I had to let this thing run, so I turned it up to full speed. And then I went away and I did something else, and I came back about an hour later, because it takes a reasonable amount of time to send all the metal over to this thing over here. But once the metal was sent and this thing was still running, obviously this is just continually growing and growing. And because there's no traffic, as long as you keep an eye on the water and the electricity, you don't have any problems in terms of garbage being collected or crime or anything else. So you can step away from the thing and just let it run. In saying all that, it's probably fair to mention that the crime rate is going up here, in spite of the fact that, I mean, you get an idea. I think I've only got one big police station here, but just by having this on quick speed, you get an idea of just how quick the police cars are going around and just how much area they can cover very quickly. And of course, with the money I have, which is probably something I'll do, I can put in another big police station just to even increase the amount of police cars that are going around. But the main thing is they've just got the freedom of the roads. They're not stuck in traffic. And that's pretty cool. It kind of makes me happy to see a city that's working, because I've built so many of these places, and once they get to a certain size, they just start to go downhill pretty fast. So the only problem here, obviously, is it's incredibly polluted. These processor factories are terribly bad for the land, as are the consumer electronics factories. I mean, these things, they just spread out all the... So I don't know if this place is actually sustainable. I've got so many rubbish dumps, because when you're producing lots of drones, they wear out, and the amount of rubbish you have increases by a lot. I mean, before I had all these factories, the rubbish here was probably under 10,000. Now it's climbing up to 25,000. Also, in order to run the factories, you need a huge amount of power. So I've got oil plants. I've got 2 nuclear plants. That on top of the factories themselves and the rubbish dumps, which are kind of all over the place. You end up with a very heavily polluted city. Also, the other thing, which is probably one of the most serious things, is that with all this industry around, it really eats up the water. Now I planted, I'm kind of changing where the water is very often, and you can see over here, for instance, I had 2 water pumps here. I didn't put them there too long ago, but they've completely sucked all the water out. There's just nothing there, so I'm gonna delete those. I put one in here now because I'm thinking if I've got the sewage system, then the water here will not run out. That's kind of what I've heard from other people playing this, that this should always stay blue here. So I'm going to have to try and get rid of some of these buildings and put more water in here. Let me just get rid of these 2 things. And I shall... Can I get rid of this street as well? That would be... So yeah, you need a huge amount of water. But the trick is, I think, to try and put your water as close to your sewage system as possible, and because the sewage, I think it treats the idea is that it treats the it gets treated and put back into the system as pure water. I'm not sure that makes any sense. So there you go. You can see I still don't have enough water. I could still use some more, but I'm going to leave it like that for now. It's a pretty grimy place. I wouldn't really like to live here. But it is a good idea for anybody who wants to just enjoy the fact just to enjoy having a city that is growing. Mine's not growing now, but having a city that's reasonably big with no traffic problems, because it's quite a pleasure to see things working for once, you know. 'Cause I've done so many cities where things just grind to a halt. So it is cool to be able to look down on your city and see all the traffic zipping around. Now the other thing I wanted to do, I've got so much money here. Again, this would work if you were planning on doing something big in the in your immediate area. I don't think you can transfer money everywhere in the map. I think you can only transfer money between your little region here. Obviously, you can, if you play this game, you can go into the, what do they call? There's a specific mode where you can have as much money as you want. Maybe sandbox mode, I think they call it, where you don't have to go through all the process of earning money. But I never played like that because to me it would just be boring. It would just be boring to play this game where everything was just available straight away. But yeah, so if you want to have lots of money to be very creative in your other cities, then this is a good way of doing it. You have all the money in one city and then you can just send it. The only thing to say about these drones is that I've had to run this place and leave it running kind of for a long time. It's a very slow process to convert your entire residence, the entire residence to becoming Amiga franchises. It does take a long time. You've got to start off with the with the Amiga before you unlock the robotics division, which is this. That's the factory. Well, yeah, you have to upgrade before you unlock the robotics division. Then you have to buy the processors. And even when you've got things running, it takes a long time to supply everybody. And you may need, I think I had about 4 or 5 of these factories at one point. I got rid of some of them because now I'm just I just need 2 factories to keep topping up the amount of drones out there, because the drones themselves run out after a certain amount of time. So you can't turn these off. So that's one thing. It takes a long time. The other thing I've been doing is trying to find a way of spending this money or doing something with it. I've been testing out the when you build a shuttle bus, it allows you to build these things here, which they're like bus stops. Everybody comes in and they drop their cars off here and they take the bus into town. These are a great idea, and they do seem to be working. They're all full. Like I said, the people that are living in this town, they don't seem to travel anyway. They seem to work from home. They seem to send drones out to buy them things. So they don't, if you look at most of the buildings, you can see the cars are all kind of in a lot of the bigger buildings, the cars are all neatly parked. Well, no, they're not actually. So because I have the money, I wanted to, where is it gone? I wanted to experiment with these. I've lost them, with these little shuttle bus. These little shuttle bus bus stops where people park their cars. I did put a big line of them somewhere. I can't find anything. Here they are. Here, these. This is like a whole sea of them. And are they busy? Yeah, and they're all quite busy, these. So it may be that these are the people from the arcology, that they drive over and they park their cars here and then they take a bus. But these really seem to work. They're all very modern looking cars. And they've all got thousands of customers. So again, if you've got lots of extra cash, you could just really build yourself a whole row of these things. Because you can imagine if all those cars that you're seeing here, if they were all on the road, then I think it would be gridlock. That's a hell of a lot of cars. But because they're all there, all these buses and things, all these buses have just, they've got the entire road system to themselves. I'm quite surprised at that. I didn't expect them to be all full, to be honest. So I may put more of those. They're pretty cheap. They're pretty cheap. They're these things. They're just 400 euros and they cost 30 euros an hour, but when you've got 82 million simoleons to play around with, this is not really any problem. And then I can add in even more buses. I mean, I could add in, you know, 5 or 6 more bus terminals. And with that, because I think I've only got one bus terminal, this one. So a few more bus terminals, then the roads should really be just totally free, just with buses and the services. And I think that's it. I think that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to put this one online because it's quite rare that I end up with the city that's running this well. And also, like I say, it's taken me an awful long time. I mean, I've had to just let the thing run and run and run and go away and do other things because it takes forever to get to this point. That's the other thing I wanted to say. It's not something that you can do in an hour or even 2 hours. I think it takes probably more. But the good thing is, when you get to this point, you can build something like the arcology and you can actually just let the thing run. When I was, like I said before, when I was waiting for the metal to be delivered to this arcology thing here, I just went off and did something else. I was confident to leave the game running. And even now, I mean, I've been playing at slow speed here, and I haven't. This video is only going to be half an hour long, but you know, in the space of time I've been here, this figure has gone up by, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 million. So besides the pollution, it's a pretty cool situation to be in if you're a bit OCD like me when it comes to uh, crime and when it comes to the deaths, because I probably can't really ever solve this problem because the place is just too polluted. But I can make sure that there are plenty of ambulances and plenty of room. And like I said, if you're like me and you're kind of obsessed with these figures, you can really let rip in a place like this. You can build as many of these things as you want, and you've got the finances to build 10 of these if you want, for a certain amount of time anyway. And yeah, have your town where there is absolutely no problems here at all. Education wise, I think I've got 2 universities and a school. I don't know why this figure is not bigger, but again, with the money I have, you could build 5 or 6 universities if you want. So for someone, like I say, like me, it's fun to be able to try and get all these figures down as low as you possibly can. And when you've got this place running like this with the finances, you can achieve certain things that you probably would never be able to achieve in another place. This is bothering me though. I've seen these buses. I see a lot of buses. They seem to come out of the bus terminal, go around in a circle, and then go back into the bus terminal. That's not really what you want to see. So there you go. Approval rating 87%. Population 172,000. It might be some kind of an achievement to get the population even higher and have the traffic so low. But for anybody still playing this game, I would recommend you try this system sometime, because it really is. It's just quite a nice feeling to have a big town with everything running well for a change. And I think that's about it. I'm going to carry on. I'm going to try and get I'm going to try and get some of these figures as low as I can, and I'm going to try and get everybody educated. And I'll probably periodically upload some more of these SimCity videos if I'm working on anything and I think it's worth uploading and talking about. So until then, I shall say adios.